Hello everyone, this is Nitya Priya from the Department of Computer Science, JJ College, Pudukkottai. Today in this presentation, we are going to see about distributed technology. And these are the contents of our presentation. The first one, we see what is distributed technology, and then we are going to see the .NET framework, then we see the multi-language support of .NET framework, then we are going to see the multiple components of .NET framework. Now, what is distributed technology? Actually, distributed technology is a composition of many small parts. In .NET, there is a special entity called ASP.NET Framework. In other words, it is called as .NET architecture. This .NET architecture is a composition of small and essential parts like CLR, CSS, CTS, JIT, etc. And these small parts compose the .NET architecture, and that is why it is called as a distributed technology, and they work under no centralized coordination. And this is the .NET framework. A .NET framework is designed and developed by the Microsoft. The first version of .NET framework is named after 1.0, which has come out in the year 2002. Actually, .NET is a virtual machine which compiles and executes many programming language coding. That is, .NET framework supports nearly 60 programming languages, which includes 11 Microsoft supported languages, and the rest of the languages are non-Microsoft developed languages, but they are supported by the .NET framework. This is actually the .NET framework. It is composed of many layers, as you see here. In the first layer, we see some of the .NET supported languages, and the second portion we see common language specification. Common language specification is because it supports multiple languages. This specification will support many languages that the .NET framework works on. And the third portion says about the different types of applications or the different types of outputs that the .NET coding configures, namely web forms, web services, and Windows forms. And the fourth compartment says ADO.NET and XML. That is, when .NET works on databases, it needs the help of ADO.NET and XML. And the next portion says about class library. Class library is actually a group of or a base of developed or built-in classes. And the next one and the last one is called common language runtime. I will say common language runtime is the heart of the .NET framework. Right. So, as we see in the diagram, .NET framework is used to build Windows-based application. That is here. It is form-based applications, web-based applications, and web services. Actually, .NET is a framework which supports variety of programming languages. The famous ones are VB.NET and C#. It builds applications for Windows, phones, web pages, etc. It provides a lot of functionalities and supports for industry standards. Now it is multi-language support. As we always say, the .NET framework supports more than 60 programming language, in which 11 are .NET supported. Actually, it is developed by Microsoft, and the rest of the languages are non-Microsoft support languages. That is, it is not designed or developed by Microsoft, but are supported by .NET framework. Now, these are the 11 programming languages which are designed and developed by Microsoft. The famous ones are C#.NET, VB.NET. These are the common ones which we always use for working on .NET. And the rest of the things are C++.NET, J#.NET, F#.NET, and the other things like Ruby, Python, C Omega, and of course ASML, which is Abstract State Machine Language. And these are the non-Microsoft languages. The famous ones are Basic, C, C#, C++, etc. And the main components of .NET framework. These are the main components of .NET framework. The first one is going to be Common Language Runtime, shortly known as CLR. The next one is Class Library. The next one is Common Language Specification. We see each and everything in detail in the later slides. The next one is Common Type System. Then it is Metadata and Assemblies. Then Windows Forms, ADO.NET and Link. Right, now it is Common Language Runtime. Actually, as I said, Common Language Runtime is the heart of the .NET architecture. The .NET framework is also called .NET architecture, as I said. This CLR or Common Language Runtime performs many services to each and every application that is being worked on the .NET framework, like memory management, exception handling, security, code execution, code security, verification and compilation. Actually, the code that is typed on the .NET editor will be first called managed code. This managed code is then compiled. It is then transformed into IL, which is intermediate language. This intermediate language code or IL code is CPU independent. This IL code will then be compiled by JIT, which is just-in-time compiler. Just-in-time compiler is specific for every language that is currently being used. And this is about .NET Framework Class Library. The class library is a group of built-in classes. That is, whenever we execute a .NET application, we will be getting a container class. Like within that container class, we will put our own coding and we will just personalize our application. So likewise, we can also avail built-in interfaces, built-in structure and enumerated values also. This is Common Language Specification. It is a specification of all the supported languages, their implementation and their integration. This is Common Type System. Common Type System provides general guidelines for declaring and initiating types at runtime and cross-language communication. This is Metadata and Assemblies. Actually, metadata is data about data we know. Metadata here we mean it is the binary information of our current application. The binary information is called as PE file or portable executable file. This binary information will be stored in PE or in the main memory of the computer. This is about metadata. Then we come to assembly. Assembly is actually a logical unit which consists of metadata, IL code and set of the other resources like image files. Image files are also needed for creating web applications. And this is Windows Forms. Windows Forms are nothing but a graphical representation of any window. That is, whenever we run a file, we will get a window-like thing on the screen, right, for Windows Forms. If we work on VB.NET, we will get that window form on the screen. So, to create that window form, it is just like graphical application. This Windows Form part of the distributed technology is used. And this is ADO.NET. Actually, ADO.NET is a thing which is used when or whenever the .NET application works with the databases. So, when the .NET application works with the database, it gets the help from ADO.NET in order to connect with the database server. So, that's the way it uses SQL Server, OLEDB, XML, etc. When we talk about XML, XML is when we create a web application. Actually, XML acts as a data carrier. In XML, we can have personalized tags or elements. So, whichever data we want to carry, in the same name we can create elements, and that is how we carry data from one page to another page. That is how XML is used. And ADO.NET allows us to retrieve, manipulate and update data from the data sources. And this is Link. Link is integrated language querying. Because ASP.NET architecture supports multiple languages, This link comes in and enables the user to query whichever language they are in. They can do that querying to the database servers. That is called as link. And this is about ASP.NET. Now we come to the main part. Actually, we have seen about the basic parts till now, that is ASP.NET framework. Now we come to ASP.NET. ASP.NET is a comprehensive software infrastructure, and this is a technique which is enabling us to develop a full-fledged and robust web applications for PC as well as for mobile devices. Actually, ASP.NET works on the top of the HTTP protocol. HTTP protocol is working with HTTP commands. These HTTP commands will offer services between a browser and a server. Right. So ASP.NET is a part of .NET platform. It provides applications which are compiled codes written using the extensible and reusable components or objects present in .NET framework. And that is all about our presentation. Hope you watched the video fully and you have understood the concept completely. Thanks for watching.